One thing that is very important, if you have a collection or a charge off and you're trying to make a big purchase anytime soon and you've been disputing it and you can't get it removed, you do have another option. This option is a pay to delete. A pay to delete is when you pay the original creditor or the debt collector an amount that both of you agree to settle the debt for them to remove that off of your credit report. Many debt collectors will take a pay for delete or pay to delete. Now, there are some creditors, original creditors, that don't publicly state they do pay to delete. One of those creditors is Capital One. If you call Capital One and they have your account as a collection or a charge off and you request a pay to delete from one of their customer service agents, typically what they'll respond with is, we don't provide that. You can settle the debt and we'll show it as paid, but we will not delete it off of your credit report. Now, this can occur with various banks and various lenders, especially when it's the original creditor, meaning the default that you have is still owned by the person or entity that gave you credit. So in those cases, an original creditor really wants to have all of their money paid. So how do you navigate this? No matter if it's the original creditor or a third-party debt collector, once you come up with that amount, you have to get it in writing. So if you owe $1,200 to Capital One and they agree to take $800 to settle the debt and to remove it off your credit report, you want to get that in writing. The first step is to negotiate price, the amount of the settlement. The second is to get it in writing. When you request a pay to delete, you have to get it in writing before you make a payment. To do so with a creditor similar to Capital One, who doesn't offer that when you call customer service, what you would do is you would create a letter. You would send that letter addressed to the CEO of that company directly at their corporate headquarters, and you would send it certified mail. That letter would clearly identify the account, the amount owed, and the amount that you willing to pay to settle the debt, and a request upon payment for deletion of that account from all three credit bureaus. Typically, when you submit it directly to the executive office, it takes about 2 weeks after it has been received. You have to send it certified mail. So if it was received on the 12th, typically what you would wait is 2 weeks, 10 business days. If you don't hear anything, then you would follow up by calling the corporate number. The construction of your pay to delete letter is very important. Provide your telephone number, your email address, and a clear reason why you want this deleted. Either you're purchasing a home, you're purchasing a car, and you can explain why this debt went into a charge-off position, why you didn't pay it, and you can explain this was an oversight on your part. When you send the pay to delete, give it 14 days. If you don't hear anything, you will call their corporate number, and you're simply going to ask for the executive office or special handling unit. And once you get that unit, you're going to ask them, hey, do you have a copy of the letter? Is there any feedback? Is this something that Capital One or the lender in question will agree to. Typically, you will find a better response when you send your letter directly to their corporate headquarters, attention to their CEO. You're going to have to wait. Now, Raul, why would I do a pay to delete? What would be some of the reasons? Here are some of the reasons you would seek a pay to delete. If you're going to purchase a home, it's now almost March, and you're looking to make a home purchase in June or July, you want to start negotiating a pay to delete so it can be removed within the next 30 to 60 days. Because a home purchase, anytime you apply for a home, charge off or collection, any unpaid debt impacts your score totally different. And more weight is placed on a charge off and a collection in a mortgage situation. As a former underwriter, I'm going to tell you, when you submit your application and there's a charge off or collection on your credit report, you will face a lot more scrutiny. And if you're going through a bank, they call you into the office, find out more. So if you're looking for a smooth process, you want to get that removed before you go in for your home loan and before you apply. Now, looking at the time frame, if you are applying for a home or looking to purchase a home and start shopping in June, and you had a collection or a charge off, this is the time you would start negotiating a pay to delete. Now, here's some of the caveats. Once you get on the telephone and request a pay to delete, you are being recorded. So any future disputes, if you or the talks break down and you say, hey, I'm gonna dispute it, I'm tired of dealing with whomever this debt collector is, they wouldn't give me a pay to delete, or I can't afford to pay the amount they're requesting, so I'm gonna continue to dispute it. In that case, let me be upfront. You have reaffirmed that you owe the debt. So what does that mean in layman terms? It's going to be more difficult to have that account removed for the next 3 to 6 months. So before you do a pay to delete negotiation, before you make that phone call, make sure this is something you're committed to do and you're willing maybe to pay the full balance. Because some creditors and lenders, especially now, have been very hard to deal with. Now, typically, when you negotiate a pay to delete, if it's the original creditor, if you owe $1,000, they typically want somewhere between 60% to 85% of the debt owed to them. Now, when you're dealing with a third-party debt collector and it's a collection account, they will take anywhere from 20% to 70% of the outstanding balance because they bought your debt for pennies on the dollar. Charge-offs are the one and where a pay to delete makes a lot of sense because the original creditor will typically still own that account. A charge-off, the difference between a charge-off and a collection, a charge-off is any account that hasn't received payment within 180 days or 6 months. 6 consecutive billing cycles have been missed. The creditor has now written that account off. So it'll show up as a charge-off. Charge-offs have a lot more impact for credit cards. So if you're looking to apply for a new credit card and you got a charge-off showing, it's going to be more difficult. If you're looking to purchase a car and you have a charge-off showing, you're going to end up with a subprime lender providing you a loan. What does that mean? That means there's going to be a higher interest rate, higher payment, and a higher down payment requested. A collection is going to be easier to purchase a car, but more difficult to purchase a home. A charge-off is going to be difficult for a home purchase and a car purchase. But a collection and charge-off are about equivalent when you send it to a mortgage underwriter, because it's an outstanding debt, and collections in some cases can be more powerful or more detrimental for you when you're looking to get a home, because some debts can end up having a lien, meaning an outstanding balance, and where they can do a garnishment on your paycheck, your checking account, or present a lien on any real property. So if you go apply for a home loan and you have a collection, it's going to be scrutinized a lot harder, because the lender understands that their money, your home, can be jeopardized if that collection ends up turned into a lien, because the debt collector pursues a civil action where they take you to court. You can get a default judgment, or the judgment, you can be there and the debt collector can win that case. So remember, a pay to delete, once you decide, you think it through, and some of the things you want to think through: are you looking to purchase a home or car within the next 4 months, 4 to 6 months? Have you been disputing this item for more than 3 months and nothing has occurred, the status hasn't changed, and it hasn't been removed? Is the balance owed something you're willing to settle for so you can move forward with your home purchase, car purchase, or just improving your credit? And how hard do you think you have to work if you don't negotiate a pay to delete to have this account removed? You take all that into consideration before you call and make any attempts to negotiate. The next step, before you call the debt collector or the creditor, I would go into Google that particular creditor or debt collector, put their name in, and these words: any legal actions, then hit search. What this will tell you is the debt collector being sued? Has this original creditor been sued? And what are the outcomes? I can tell you right now, there are several original creditors, Capital One being top of the list. They do not really negotiate. If you owe Capital One some money, whether it be a charge-off or collection, they typically might take 10 to 20% off. They also will not offer a pay to delete over the telephone. You will have to contact their executive office. There are other lenders just like that. So remember, if you call, the first place you call when you start to negotiate a pay to delete is the customer service number. Find out if that company offers it. And it varies. Debt collectors, most of the times they will offer a pay to delete. Now, I'll be upfront, some of them are sleazy, so that is why I say always get confirmation that they're going to delete this account in writing. Do not pay without getting this in writing, because once you pay it, they have no incentive to delete it if they didn't agree to it and you don't have proof. Just because they give you a verbal commitment, That can be somebody on the telephone trying to run their numbers up, because the customer service agents, whenever they are able to recoup money for the company, they get a bonus and it looks good on their performance reports when they go in for a review. So they might tell you anything. I've heard several, I won't call the names of the companies, but several of their employees have said things that were not true. So that is why I recommend always get it in writing. A pay to delete is something you have to get in writing. If it is not offered by the customer service department or the accounts department, when you contact that particular debt collector or creditor, always find the executive's name, the CEO, their corporate headquarters, send it certified mail so you'll know it's been received. And after 2 weeks, call if they haven't contacted you. Always put your account information in there. Make sure you put your contact information in there. And if you leave your phone number as the point of contact, make sure you turn off the scam blocker, because many times when they do contact you, it is from an unknown number that is not programmed. So if you have a blocker on your telephone, it can be blocked. So you do want to make sure that is off. And if you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment. And you can also email me at perfectscore@$10creditrepair.com. Thank you.